opposition parties comprising ActionSA, the UDM, the Freedom Front Plus and the African Christian Democratic Party have urged DA leader John Steenhuisen to negotiate coalition government deals with honesty as well as integrity. The call by these parties followed the announcement by Steenhuisen saying his party would not support ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba's nomination for the mayoral position of the city of Joburg on Monday. Joining me now is ActionSA leader Herman Mashaba. Mr. Mashaba, a pleasure to have you on the program this afternoon. Now, I want to take from statements made by DA leader John Steenhuisen, having vowed that his party would not support you, Mr. Mashaba, to be elected Johannesburg mayor. Now, initially, it would have appeared that there were hopes that your party, alongside the DA and FF Plus, as well as other parties, had attempted to have a coalition agreement. Now, what went wrong? And please talk us through the discussions that took place here.
Well, thank you very much, Nhlanhla. One thing that we've learned is about the DS dishonesty and how they actually entered these negotiations with us right from the beginning with total bad faith. I think just to really give you a sense of what transpired this week, we intervened the other week to have a meeting which we had on Monday. At the meeting at Monday, DA proposed to have mayoral candidates in both in Tshwane and Johannesburg. All the parties rejected their proposal and said, you and ActionSA needs to really decide. One must govern Tshwane and another one to govern Johannesburg, obviously including the MMCs comprising of all the other parties.
Right.
The DA said to us that unfortunately they don't have the mandate. They must still consult with the Federal Council. And we then said, we're running out of time. It's Monday next week. We've got council meetings. Let's meet on Tuesday. And then said to us, John Steenhuisen is not available on Tuesday. He will meet on Wednesday. On Thursday, now not hearing from them, I wrote to all the parties to inform them of a time running against us, request to have the meeting yesterday at 10 o'clock, which meeting we had. At the meeting, unfortunately, DA still came out with a proposal that was presented to us on Monday. But we said to DA, please, to really be fair with us, let us know what your position is. And actually, after the meeting, which lasted more than unnecessary, we then all of us agreed, let us really have a statement that all agree, because we run public institutions. We must inform society about what happened. DA was against it. We said, obviously, if you don't want to be part of the statement of really what transpired, you are most welcome not to really be part of. But they insisted they want to be part of the statement, which they signed it off. I'm sure you read that statement. And after, once we've agreed on the statement, DA actually insisted and demanded to get all of the political parties to say we are still going to be negotiating with our FedEx to see if they are prepared to really come to the party on this matter. But please, no other political party must communicate until DA reverts to the coalition partners. And they said we must give them until Sunday 5 p.m. We were surprised this morning with the DA communicating their position without even writing a one-page or one paragraph response to let us know that the proposal of our coalition partners was not acceptable to FedEx, which is their right if they were not really happy about this. But we find what is disturbing is for them to gag us from talking to the media and without, in fact, even officially giving us the response, they then go out into the public, put forward their proposal. And what is also disturbing about this is to bring the EFF into this mix. As you are aware, EFF was not part of this discussion, so they're just really looking for an excuse to really treat us like fools and actually to show arrogance and disrespect. And for that reason, if that's what they've decided to operate in this manner as a public body, then let them operate like this. It's up to South Africans actually to judge for themselves.
And speaking about them bringing the EFF into this matter, the party leader, John Steenhuisen, addressed the media as well as supporters of the DA earlier, saying that your election as mayor and for opposition parties to garner more than 50% of the vote to achieve a majority was highly dependent on the support of the EFF. What do you make of his statement?
But what has the EFF got to really do with this situation? Because we spoke in that meeting where the federal chair was there and two other representatives from the DA. We agreed that in Johannesburg, let's put together a minority government so that we can prevent the ANC from taking over and we can really look at bringing other parties. But in the meantime, let's stop the ANC from taking over the power. And Tshwane, we are safe with all our coalition partners. But obviously the gripe was the fact that the coalition partners would not allow them to really have the mayorship in both municipalities. And for that reason, they end up putting the EFF into the mix. And I think, for me personally, because John Steenhuisen makes reference to my name about the EFF. And I think I want to make it really very clear to South Africans that this actually makes me even more determined not to allow the DA and as an uncaring political party that for 3 years always used to accuse me. Every time I come out with a project dedicated to poor communities, they'll always take offense to this, telling me about cutting grass in the suburbs, telling me about focusing the residents' monies to people who don't work, who don't vote for the TA. And I can challenge anyone to ask the entire DA Federal Council as to how many times I raised this matter. Obviously, the final blow came when they started negotiating with the ANC to remove it. And obviously, everything else is history. It's on record. We know that, including Helen Zille, it's on record recently addressing their caucus that they must accept that DA is a 20% political party. It's a political party that's prepared to work with the ANC of Cyril Ramaphosa. So basically, all these the negotiations over the last 2.5 weeks was just to really waste our time to, I don't know, portray something where they can end up working with the ANC without obviously showing that the way they wanted to. But obviously, the case is very clear because how are they going to have Tshwane? Because I can tell you now, ActionSA will not really support them. So we out of the coalition, not us, the DS kicked us out of the negotiations in Tshwane. So without us, how are they going to govern Tshwane now where they're saying they're going to put their mayoral candidate into office? How are they going to put their mayoral candidate to get even minority government into without ActionSA's support? So this is just really a clear indication and proof of what Helen Zille has confirmed in her own words.
So, judging by what you're saying, it seems that this closes the discussions, or rather your involvement in negotiations concerning Tshwane. Now, the latest utterances of Mr. Steenhuisen appear very likely to bring somewhat of a division in a coalition agreement reached by opposition parties to support the DA's Randall Williams mayoral candidacy on Tuesday during the inaugural sitting of the city of Tshwane. Is this a fair assessment, and can you even trust the DA as a coalition partner going into the future?
Well, I can talk about ActionSA. I can give official position of ActionSA. ActionSA, we were kicked out by the DA. It's not us who reneged on this. It's the DA that came out. I listen to him even now. The nation listened to him. Your viewers listen to John Steenhuisen. He kicked us out. So we can't really force ourselves onto a marriage with him. We are having, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, we have all the other coalition partners. We are having our own meeting to discuss the future because this whole situation took us by surprise. Because DA had gagged us from talking to the media until such time that they reverted to us. But we ended up hearing in the media seeing John Steenhuisen proudly talking about it as if with arrogance that they've displayed in the 3 years that I was actually associated with them. So obviously, ActionSA, we say thank you to John Steenhuisen without really being compromised. We accept that he doesn't really want us. Let's see what happens in Tshwane. But I think he's got something up there. His slave, I'm sure Helen Zela and Cyril Ramaphosa can tell us what plans they've got for the future of this country.
Now, as we wrap up, I want to touch on a subject that you briefly touched on a short while ago during our chat. I want us to reflect on Steenhuisen's reflections on the 2016 coalition in Johannesburg, how he describes to have been very chaotic. Now, some political pundits have expressed that this was somewhat dishonest on Steenhuisen's part, and the coalition was actually stable, and that you understood the importance of having the EFF added. How would you react to this?
Well, I think it's actually an insult to South Africans, because if you look at all the coalitions established in 2016, the only stable coalition was the Johannesburg one, until when ANC and the DA, with the facilitation of the Institute of Race Relations, had secret meetings to remove Mmusi Maimane and I as cheeky blacks. And put in Alan Winde of the Western Cape as a leader. And for me, as a cheeky black who doesn't want to cut grass in the suburbs, I want to provide toilets and water tanks to poor communities. And that's when I learned about this. And for me, being a DA mayoral candidate, it's water under the bridge. I don't regret it, but it's a very unfortunate situation, and they are still continuing in that vein. It's a shame they're polarizing our nation along racial lines, because they're demonstrating to black people that they don't care about them. And I can tell you one thing, that I don't really believe that the DA represents a majority of white people, because look at our electoral support as ActionSA in the last 3 weeks ago. We're the only party that has attracted voters, royal voters from across. We hammered the DA in Waterkloof, in Sandton, in Morningside. We hammered the DA in Soweto, in Alexander, in every. We're the only party that obviously appealed to all South Africans. So therefore, it is unfortunate for DA to think that they represent the white South Africans, because that is not really true. Yes, they represent those who still believe in the superiority as a race, and they don't really represent majority of them. We as ActionSA, we have the facts. Please go and look at the electoral results, voting station by voting station. You will see with the message of running a proper government, white, black, Indian, colored South Africans said, we support what you stand for, because we cannot live in a country where people don't have toilets. We cannot live in an area where people don't have water. And you must tell us about having mayors to cut the grass in the suburbs. So I think it's unfortunate, because they always claim to say EFF is a racial divisive political party. I cannot really personally see the difference between the EFF and the DA. At least the EFF is open about their position, whereas with the DA, for me, they remind me of growing up under apartheid, when some people would obviously claim to be your friend as a black person, knowing behind the back they were worse than the National Party government. And actually, that's for me what the DA of today represents.